Hi, I'm Linda Summers.
And I'm Jeanie Lemaire, and this is the Emerging Self Bringing Heaven to Earth.
Presented by Conscious Awareness TV. And today we are going to be talking about the emerging self. And our first segment is, we were going to have it as gratitude with each show, but today, I don't know about Jeanie, but I'm not feeling all that gratitude, I guess, or grateful, you should say. I feel more submerged than I do emerged. And a lot of stuff is going on, and so
we're going to bring it up to you.
So
That's what we're going to
gonna-
have today. So
yes.
We're grateful to be here, absolutely, and we're grateful to have you be with us. So that's always with gratitude. But I think that we first might want to let them know a little bit about our props.
Yeah, but I want to
get
say
into
too that when I said I don't feel very grateful today, I'm not in a space, I guess you could say. It's not that I'm not grateful. I'm so grateful to have you guys tuning in today and to be here with the show and everything. There's just a lot of things that are happening that I'm not feeling that feeling of really excited, happy. I really can't say. So I just want to put that out there and let you guys know that. So anyway. But we do. We want to talk about our props.
Yes, and I'm going to say a little PS. You see us looking very nice for a reason, because between last show and giving you a little idea of the format and this one was Linda's birthday, and I kept saying to her that at our birth is the start of a new era, always. We forget that. It's not January 1 for all of us. Some of us are born on May 15th, and at our date, hers being the 28th of January, that's the start of a new year. And as we're talking here about the emerging self, what is emerging is all the stuff and gunk and unaware things to us that have sat unconscious and subconscious to us, so that's what she's referring to. She has taken the blinders off in her nice angelic self, you can see it with me, and is allowing all the news to surface. So that's what she's trying to say, is that, oh my gosh, a lot of news is surfacing. So we're going to be talking about that here today. But we do want to show you our props, just because, hey, we speak of during the show that I will be doing the Cosmic Weather Report, and every good wizardy kind of being, we know enough from Harry Potter, men and women, has their own wand. And I've always had this wand. So this was what was so funny to us, is because we got to chatting after the show last week, and Linda goes, I've got a pair of wings. I said, oh, go on now. You need your own pair of wings? Yeah. So, we knew ourselves, and we thought it would be fun to bring the props today, so we won't have them maybe every week, but we want to have them from time to time to remind you that we are sharing cosmically, earthbound, the earth angel, and so aren't those wings perfect with that dress? I mean, it's too cool. You look gorgeous. Well, thank you.
So she's the cosmic wizard, and I'm the earth angel. So we just decided to, play with that today. Because really, when she talked about the emerging self, bringing heaven to earth, it really is bringing the cosmic self along with the smaller self, the earth self. So it's merging those two together. So we do become one. It is this self that's emerging, to the cosmos, to the universe, to the totality, emerging from the depths within. And that's really what we were talking about earlier, is the stuff that I'm going through. The news is surfacing. Myself, my cosmic self, is surfacing. And in this surfacing, like I said earlier, I really feel submerged. You'll find on the show we're going to be living consciously, really living what we're speaking, what's happening. And being the earth angel is taking the information, the relationship, because earth is really about relating to one another. Mm-hmm. And so if in relating to one another, I'm going to bring that earthly aspect to you from the angelic aspect, but as an angelic, but from an earthly day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to let you know what that's like, and being grounding it and bringing it into real terms. And when Jeanie, speaks about the cosmic weather, if there's something that I feel that maybe not quite sure about, then I'll have her bring it, and kind of really clarify, so you have an understanding of what we're really saying.
Or not, be sure to just send us a question.
Yes.
At the admin
at Conscious Awareness TV. And yes, and also, I say that at the show as well, it's really important. We'd love for you to subscribe, because when you subscribe, you will be notified when the shows are on, and to like us. The show's amazing, and it's just going to evolve as we're evolving. It's just going to evolve and evolve as we do the show will evolve. I mean, last week we talked about behind the scenes and really how this was formed and shaped, and how Jeanie, we all came together, and this venue. So it's just things are going to be changing as we're going to find out, and as you probably know in your own life, that things are surfacing and changing.
Exactly.
And coming to the surface. Because as Jeanie said, you had mentioned, I think it was last week, I don't know if it was on the show, that things can no longer stay hidden. You're going to find things that are coming up, and you can't shove it under the rug anymore, because the rug's been lifted.
Or pretend that it doesn't exist. So the consciousness of exactly what's going on in your life will come forward. So the emerging self is not just, oh, isn't it just so nice, now we've got a cosmic tint. It's like, oh my gosh, eyes wide open, eye wide open to what is or isn't resonating for you individually and in the world around you. Right. So for her, it was a court case. I don't know how many people out there, we don't have to say on what tactics, but for any of you going through court cases and have experienced someone defaming literally your character, because they're out of props and they're, trying to convince whatever. But when you actually see it in action, I actually got to go watch, I'm like, I am amazed that we allow this in our system. Even President Obama spoke about it, that somebody who works very hard, should have to live in poverty. That's not necessary. I don't care if some people want to own the world, that's fine. But nobody needs to live that works that hard needs to be in poverty. It's the same thing. Nobody needs to deflame our character. It's about settling things up. Sure, there's this situation and that, and we gracefully have the court system. But when you find yourself being attacked, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and then it's really interesting too, when you start to awaken, things are going to start to kind of look like they're going to go crazy. But when you walk into that courtroom, and I've been there many times, and when you walk in there, since I've evolved myself and grown, there's things that I've seen that I haven't seen before. I mean, it's very a dense atmosphere. You feel the fear, you feel the emotions, you feel the tension.
The uncertainty,
it's just a real, which actually I think kind of brings me to, this might be premature, but I kind of feel that it's something I want to talk about, because we talked about the court case and how going in and how your character is tainted.
Yeah.
That for all of you out there who have someone that has beaten you down to where you feel that you're unstable, I want to read this card that my sister sent to me. And it was so appropriate. And I wanted to share it today because it's so appropriate for you viewers out there. And this is called The Oak Tree, a message of encouragement. And again, picture yourself. A mighty wind blew night and day. It stole the oak tree's leaves away, then snapped its boughs and pulled its bark, until the oak was tired and stark. But still the oak tree held its ground, while other trees fell around. The weary wind gave up and spoke, how can you still be standing, oak? The oak tree said, I know that you can break each branch of mine in two, carry every leaf away, shake my limbs, and make me sway. But I have roots stretched in the earth, growing stronger since my birth. You'll never touch them, for you see, they are the deepest part of me. Until today, I wasn't sure of just how much I could endure. But now I've found that thanks to you, I'm stronger than I ever knew. And I feel that, if this person's watching this, they know who they are. And it is where I feel that we all have those circumstances and experiences that we experience that people try to unearth us. And when you know, and this is what the emergent self is all about, raising your consciousness, and when you know that you are so grounded in the earth, that no one, no thing can upbirth you. So my message to you is to stay strong and know that you are so grounded into the earth, because this is a living being. We are all connected. And that's what Jeanie and I are talking about, is all one, and including everybody.
Even those folks way out of tilt, even those folks that think that they own you or they own the situation, they don't even realize how far they are from themselves. You might know someone like that. But the good news now is that energetically we are ready to support coming together through cooperation, through connection. It's now time. These things can come up, but you're not alone. You were never meant to be alone. And it's time to resolve any imbalance that doesn't match your standards. Your standards for kindness, for being a good human being, for being purposeful in your prosperity, for including others. For again, as she just said, it's not just us each living alone and seeing what we can get. We're in this together, and how we treat each other starts with how we treat ourselves. And that oak tree found out that it really had the stuff to forego all this illusion and all that extra. And that's what I saw Linda in the courtroom. I saw her, even as they're making these comments, sitting there strong, knowing her truth. And we're going to get that truth out into the world, into our court systems, into how we interact and get infiltrated everywhere. Are we just beginning? Of course. So are we. We're all just emerging.
Yeah, and I want to say something to that too, because at the end where it says, because of you, and it really is, I know that everyone is a teacher. Everyone has been brought into our lives for our growth. And it's not,
Outside yourself.
Yeah, outside yourself. But not only that, it's just not being, you can be angry at the person, but, we're all children of God. I mean, that's the bottom line. And, really when we talk about the emerging self, it really is, for me, I think, and for everybody, and I'm sure you feel the same way, is that we have to do the inner work. We have to go inside. And once we do go inside, and it's really about us as we treat, how do we want to be treated is how we treat other people. So we're treating ourselves, so it begins with ourselves, and really honoring ourselves and the self-love. So it really goes back to the self-love.
And finding others that are in agreement with you, that they too want to experience their self-love. So we're not against anybody. It's like any evolutionary process. Everyone's going to get there, maybe 10 lifetimes down the road, who knows. But if you're ready to come home to yourself as a valuable part of this whole excursion, it's really an amazing thing. When you think of whatever we call totality, universal God, has the ability for each of us to create that feeling individually. I mean, like, we don't all have to swim, we don't have to all skydive, we don't have to all do this or that, or raise 6 kids. We can do any combination of anything and any kind of work that's valuable to people and have it be worthwhile to us. It's that unique, and it's that all-inclusive.
Yeah. And then also to realize, too, that that even though people, they said the things that they did, this is where the inner work, this is really about going in and knowing who you are and your truth. Because I know before I really dug deep down and got to that point, that things that were said about me, and were really devastating. And they still are. I mean, I'm a human being, so they're still going to hurt. But at the same time, it's like, whatever they have to say, it's their perception of who I am. So when I'm saying it to you, it's the same thing. Whatever they're saying, it doesn't demean the value, because you know who you are. And when you're in that space of knowing who you are, that no matter what anybody else says, it's great. Whatever they're saying, that's like, okay, great, well, you have your opinion, but that doesn't change the fact that I didn't want you.
Can I tell a story?
Yes, of
I want
course.
to tell a story, because this falls into that. One time, several years ago, I was taking care of a couple of young kids, 2 boys, about 10 or 11, and they had a hard life. They were adopted, and so it wasn't like they had smooth sailing. So of course they were uncertain and trying to get what they could, and like any of us would, not knowing how life's going. And we were going to get ready to walk the dogs. And I knew, that they had this background, and part of the way they protected themselves was by being boisterous. So anyway, I told them the story about my mother. When we were young, there were 3 of us. And at that time, she put us on harnesses. No joke, I'm happy to say. Because she'd go to the store and we'd head in all different directions, and this way she could keep tabs, knowing full well what these kids were going to think on us. So of course they didn't surprise me. They said, okay, here, doggy, 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 here, come over here, and stuff. And I let them have their time and their say, stuff like that. And I got ready to go out and said, I said, are you done now? And they're like, huh? I said, because I want to be real clear with you so that you don't have any confusion over this. I want you to know that my point of view of me supersedes yours and everybody else's point of view. So, are you ready to walk the dogs now? And those two boys looked at me like, what? Because I wanted them really to feel and know, do their actions and know clearly it had nothing to do with my work. And I think that's what Liz is saying here, is that this was a situation I set up. We're often put in that situation, surprisingly. But even then, if you just realize, I don't know where they got that point of view, but it's not mine. It's not true in my world, as I would say. Right. So it is very true. And I think that's part of our waking up to, quote, our cosmic self, is to say, what do I really feel about myself? And sometimes we believe these other people, and we have to ungel that news, wouldn't you say? We have to say, oh, wow, I was told all along I was never good enough to go to college, and I never even tried, because we're told these things. So waking up to anything being possible, going to college when you're 50, who cares? I'm telling you that the institutions will say, I'm so sorry, you're too old for school. They're happy to have people come, and take the classes.
We're such in a habit. If you noticed last week when I started the show, I was in such a habitual mode of doing what I normally do, and it just came right up, knowing that I was going to say different, but it still surfaced as that. So we're such in a habit of, you go to school, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, and really it's on someone else's idea of how we should live life, and that's really not true. I mean, when you know who you are, and when you know your children, you can at least see in your children that if they love to dance, then you're going to guide them in that direction of going to dance school and being in drama class or whatever, and guiding them. But it takes someone awaken themselves. I was going to have this program, Be Seen and Be Heard, and I realized that it really wasn't about the children that I needed to work with. It was reconditioning the parents, because the kids were they're so innocent and honest, and they know exactly what they want. As a parent myself, I can say the same thing in my early stages, that I know that's what's best for you, and I have the last say, not you. But then as I started my coaching in '94, I realized that no, they have choices as well, because they're another human being, and allowing them to be who they are. And, have that expression and not say, okay, this is what you need to do, you need to do this and that, and allowing them that space to be able to, go in the direction that they want to go. And there may be some oops, but it's part of the journey,
And if you don't relate to the, certainly the idea of having children, that's our procreation, and it's wonderful if people want to do that. But look to all you pet lovers, okay? Yes, because that's another thing, you think we're going to take that dog to a breeding school to train that dog. And generally speaking, it's the other way around. The pet owners needing to be consistent so the dog knows what to expect. So, or whatever. But I just think it's so interesting is that we are oriented out here, and this is to blame, or this is where it's happening, and we're just reeling it in like, maybe I do have a say in my own life. So, speaking of which, I'm going to head back now to where we normally start with the gratitude. And I just have to say that I am grateful I have any hair left on my head. I want you to know that I went and got my hair cut asking them to take an inch off. So I'm surely glad I didn't ask them for a short haircut. So it just reminded me, though, being conscious, that they weren't listening. And I'm thinking, how does that happen? Because I like to go to beauty schools, and people go, oh, you go there because it's cheap and this and that. I said, no. I go there because I've spent hundreds of dollars and gotten the same problem. People don't listen. I go there because these are the hairstylists of the future. And the kids are really with you and asking you things and stuff, and I feel more cared for. However, the instructor, who's there instructing them, went about doing his thing, and the gal I was with is getting ready to graduate, and he basically did the whole cut and didn't hear me and didn't do it the way I asked. And so in the back it looks like a train wreck, but fortunately it all grow out, as we know, all things happen. But it just reminded me, we don't listen, so no wonder a lot of these hairstylists don't listen. They were trained not to listen. I'm thinking, wow, going back to the source. Mm-hmm. So again, just trying to backpedal a little bit, because I can see that this young gal couldn't say anything. She wants to graduate in a week, so she's not going to speak up. So I do plan to go back, and I will be letting them know that that even as an instructor, you've got to stay open. You've got to keep growing. You've got to learn from the students. Right. They got a lot of news for you. Yeah. So.
And the good thing about that is too. Well, it is a good thing that your perception around that and how you handle that in a way of. I mean, if it was me, I would have been like, I'm not going out for the week or 2 weeks until my hair grows out. I mean, I would have been totally devastated. maybe. Again, I really can't say because I am in such a different place now. But my father
In the
meant
past, anyway.
in the past I would have, and because that has happened to me where they, did something wrong with my hair, and oh my gosh, I was like, cut it too short or whatever, color or something, and so how you handled it, and really the back of it does not look like a train wreck. I think it looks very fashionable myself, but again, what we ourselves feel comfortable, what we know the idea of what we're going in there for, and that really kind of brings up an interesting, and I know we're deterring from the gratitude, I'll still get to that, but
it's all one.
is about expectations. So when we go out and we have expectations in life, that there's going to be disappointment.
But when you speak expectations, we've almost lined it up that if you have them, they're going to be thwarted. And I'm thinking, why can't we have expectations that we expect to have happen? That's why they're expected.
Good distinction. Yeah, well, exactly. So let's talk about that. Let's kind of, let me just talk about gratitude first.
Go for it.
Okay. So what I want to say is I'm very, very grateful for the love and support that I had, especially with Jeanie with me yesterday, the friends around me, the family, Alan, my sister who, I just knows me so well, and to send this card knowing, next day air, so I would have it when I went to court and stuff like that. And thank you to all of you who are tuning in today and for taking an interest in the show, because it really does mean a lot to Jeanie and I that we do end separation, but it begins with us. And so, the more that you watch this show, it's not us telling you what to do. It really is living consciously and showing you that. So
and showing you your courageous side.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying. It's not about, this is simple to step one, step two, and we're all done. We're saying, we got conscious, and then look what showed up. Okay. So, but the key element, though, is going forward. We're ready to go forward and truly live a life that we'd like to live. I mean, is that so much to ask? I don't think so.
Well, and too, when you're asking the universe, because I know when I was saying to the universe, I want to live consciously, well, guess what? The universe corresponds to what you say. I mean, the universe is always giving what we're putting out. So the universe is bringing me experiences so that I can live consciously. And as Jeanie told me one time, when you don't need to say that, you won't have the experiences because you're living, you are already in the consciousness of living, so you won't need to have those experiences. So I haven't been saying that out there. So, but again, I know that everything that happens, every situation, experience is for our own good. There was a quote that a friend of mine had sent me years ago, and I tried to find it this morning and I couldn't find it. But it kind of sort of went, if you only but knew that everything that happens to you is only for your good. It really is. I mean, we think,
which doesn't mean don't emote and explain and clean out.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying. We're not saying just, live over.
Yeah, don't, because I mean, people, including myself, I used to shop when things got really the bad. And, that was my emotional way of, not looking at that.
Yeah, like none of you know anything about that one, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't do that anymore, but, my husband, ex-husband really liked shopping, so. But yeah, so it really is. So again, I just want to thank all of you for really tuning in today and, being here with us. And it really is important to us. So.
Absolutely. And this whole topic, because I'm going to scoot back a little to my hair for the Cosmic Weather Report, because it really fits in with this. And that is the thing about having the hair all like chopped off. It's like, oh, well, there went that idea. I mean, nothing will bring you conscious faster than doing things differently. Now, I know we like routine. The body likes routine, but we've gotten confused between the body liking routine and having energy. And unfortunately, while those two are intermixed, we're not sure which is which and whose is what. But if you can in any way stir up your life, do something just really radically different, do it in a different order, do something on a different day, do something different with the kind of clothes you wear, or buy something that's outrageously, usually not something you'd wear, whatever. You do something that helps our awakening process. Because I can tell you, this business with the hair was like, oh my gosh, when she went to sweep it up, I said, I don't know, but there looks like enough hair down there to make one of those, hair wig things for people when they buy. Yeah, an extension. I thought, well, wow, that for taking an inch off, that's a bit, something. So it wasn't until I got home, because I was, I could see it was kind of short, but I had asked for a kind of a shorter kind of look. And I was doing errands, didn't think about it until I got home. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it really can wake you up these ways. So I just invited you cosmically. It sounds very earthbound, but it's when we do something really different or really outside our usualness or our even our comfort zone, if you can move up to that, I am telling you, you'll get news about your life and the lives around you.
Yeah, and two, I was thinking when you were saying that as well, it could be where, if you realize that you always sleep on the right side of the bed, sleep on the left side. If you
Exactly.
always put your pants leg on the right leg, put it on the left leg. If you're right-handed, start, do the left hand. Put food in your body that you've never, things you haven't eaten before, because the body gets used to that, and all of a sudden it brings something new, and it's like, whoa, what was this,
Exactly.
Hey, I really like this, and chemically things start to happen. I don't know exactly sure what that is, but I know there is something to be said for that. So,
and as you're saying that you try new food and you really like that, the other bit of news you might get is you really don't like it at all. But isn't that conscious too?
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking we're not just what we like, we're also what we know we don't care for. So knowing both parts makes for a total awareness. So yeah, very, very, very good tips.
Yeah, absolutely. The relationship update.
Oh, we think the whole show's a relationship.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, because I kind of gave that at the very beginning. I would just say, just in relationships, I think, and I probably said this last week, I'm sure I did, is really about being vulnerable and speaking your truth. I've noticed that when we're in just any kind of relationship, whether it's with your friend or your business partner or your life partner, it really is speaking your truth from the heart center and really speaking up about what's important to you and what you want, and seeing, what the other person wants as well, and and kind of working with that. You just, it's not that you want a clone of yourself by no means. You want the diversity, because that's what's so beautiful about us all being so unique. And but when you can really share about, oh, this is what I really enjoy, and this is what I really enjoy, and it can be very complimentary, really, in a way.
Yeah, and it gets back to that word compromise. Boy, doesn't it have bad press? Compromise. Compromise means nobody gets what they want. And I'm thinking, half the time, we don't even know what we want. So as Linda's saying, when you speak up and start, mentioning some things you might like to see happen or you're planning on, that even invites the other person in that vulnerability to say, well, I'd like to see this. Wow, I've been married to you 10 years and I didn't even know that. And they might even say, well, I kind of knew it, but I guess I didn't realize how important it was to me. So that's why that's speaking up, that's sounding. It's great to text and emails and all that too and deliver information, but you can't always get to this knowingness. The things that link it up come with our conversation and with us hearing it as well as the other person, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, to tune up our own hearing aid and say, oh, what did you just say there? Oh gosh, in talking even to ourselves as we talk with others. So all of this is waking up.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that movie, Steve Harvey, I think, put it out. I don't remember, Walk Like a Man, Act Like a Woman, or Act Like a Woman, Walk Like a Man. I think there's that. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. He's got a book, and then he has a movie out, and I saw it. And it's where you actually go on these dates. I'm sure the readers, gosh, I'm in a really different place today. I apologize, but I am here though. Going out on dates and things, and they have this checklist like, what are your 5 goals, where are you at? I mean, it's all these things you're asking about the person, which in a sense is really kind of interesting because it does start a conversation of finding out who that person is.
Sure.
I mean, listen, I was married for a very, very long time, and trust me, I didn't know anything about this person. Or friends. I've had friends over 20 years who really don't know a lot about me. That they've never really inquired. There's never been really a conversation. There's things that I've done that, they don't have any idea. So it's just interesting how we go about each day relating, and just to really know that person. It kind of also came up about going to the grocery store and you see the checker being really upset. And it's like, hey, how are you doing? It sounds like you're having a really bad day. Like, what's going on? Really inquiring. Who does that? People are like, oh, they have a bad day, or, you're
too bad.
Yeah, too bad, or they're just like, moving on, or not even caring. And that person, who knows what could have happened. So, it's a relating world.
I know, and as you say, we don't even realize we're asleep. So I'm going to her house here today as we get ready to go together. And about the last 2 blocks, I got thinking on something in our garage at home. And I literally went right on past. But fortunately for myself, I have this like internal antenna that says, we've gone too far, something's off. So I kind of woke back up and thought, this doesn't look right. So I turned around and yep, lo and behold, I'd gone right past the entrance to where she lives. I thought, well, see, that happens a lot for us. We don't mean to, but honestly, this mind of ours that we're so thrilled about, it wanders off all the time. And how many times you had a conversation with someone, and then you get later going, I wonder what they really said. Are we mean or no? We kind of talked about that, but then I went somewhere, you know? So people always laugh at me because I'm always asking questions. I'll say, now, do we say this or do we say that? Or we were talking about this, but we're going here. And it used to be, not anymore, but it used to be, God, Jeanie, so many questions. I said, well, if I could stay conscious enough, maybe I could remember. But I just can't. But now the people are picking up and going, wow, all those questions help you avoid a disaster, assuming here they thought you'd be there, and then you didn't show up because you didn't really hear that, and then we start having no trust, and it just snowballs. So I'm, really saying on this is that, we don't realize how much sleeping we do with our eyes open, and so asking questions, if you come away and realize you're not quite clear, or even if you think you're super clear, it is sometimes helpful just out loud without asking again.
Yeah, when she talks about the internal antenna, so I kind of want to bring them, let them know that that's really, it's really
lingo.
Yeah, that's our lingo, So I'm going to clarify. It's really that intuition. You can kind of, once you really tap in, but it really is, again, it's really knowing your body, feeling your body.
And getting the messages.
And getting the messages, because we get them all the time, but we're just so busy with whatever. So, and I know that all of you have this. That's what she's meaning by that. And funny you talk about questions, because I am the question queen.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I've
think
noticed.
my mom is probably like, oh my gosh, does this girl ever stop asking questions? I probably asked a zillion questions when I was little, and I'm still asking them today, because I love to get clarity. And I think it has a lot to do with, too, when I started life coaching, that I could make, and this is again in talking about relationships, that when I'm in a coaching relationship with someone and coaching them, I can make the assumption that I know what, by they asking that question, that I know what that means. And in making that assumption, then they're like, no, that's not what I meant. So, I learned that I cannot take what I assume, to mean what they thought when they're asking that question that I'm going to answer. So I don't know.
I have a phrase for that on the lingo. I have no idea what you meant by what you did or didn't say. That's true. I have just no idea.
Yeah.
And you have a perfect idea. You said exactly what makes sense to you.
Yeah.
I have no clue. So I'll ask people, can you say that another way? And I have to tell you, that kind of brings people out of some void or wherever, and they'll say what another way, and while they're conscious, then they'll go and explain to me what I needed to hear, the information I really needed.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because it reminded me of my attorney who says, when I'm in the courtroom, I might say something that's really off the wall, and everybody perks up. Like, everybody becomes present in that moment, because they're just like, did I just hear what you just said?
Yeah.
And it really is to bring them present. It has nothing to do in relationship with the case, but everybody, they just perk up. So, again, this isn't relating, but it is really good to ask questions, because you want to inquire. You're going to be spending a business together, a friendship, a relationship, a life together. You want to know that person inside and out, and I think you can live with somebody and never know who they are. Never know. And you think you got it down? You don't got it down. You don't have it.
Well, and we have to keep talking about, and in this emerging self, it's part of my living formula, that there are physical, mental, and emotional components to everything. Whether you're talking, whether it's an event that didn't take place, all three systems have news for us, and we've been living off the mind. Well, of course, the mind doesn't know anything, about the moment, because it doesn't live in the moment. It gives us past news and future information, but it's there to support the now systems. That is your physicality. That is your emotional system. So, they've been like, second-class citizens. And I'm just saying, it is no wonder we've been a little tilted, because we aren't operating off all pistons.
Right. Well, and we talked the other day, because I've been doing a lot of, and I'm sure anybody out there that's really moving and doing a lot of growth work, that I realize I've been really working on the mental and emotional and forgot about my physical. And now all of a sudden, my physical is catching up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here, And so I took it for granted and kind of just disregarded it.
Yeah.
Until it finally said, hello, I am here, and I'm going to show you that I'm catching up to what you're doing, because like I said, and I don't even know how many shows ago, but I'm on a fast track, like really fast track.
Oh yeah.
But also in that too, what I've also learned is that in that fast track, it really is taking the information that I have and really chewing on that. I was telling Jeanie the other day, I've been chewing on it. It's like, yeah, you have gummy bears and you chew on them. You don't chew them all the way and you swallow them. Well, I do at least. But so it's kind of like that. So you want to make sure that you're chewing. They say to chew your food to get all the minerals and stuff out. Chew it 50 times. Okay, literally, when things happen and you get this, this growth spurt, chew on it, ponder it. Take some time, and then, because now, like I said, I'm feeling the physical is like, I got aches all over. I'm like, oh my gosh, like where's all this coming from? But like you said, the body is waking up. And
I remind you folks, because I'm one of these people, I love to read late at night. Anybody else like to, kind of end the day in some other world? Unfortunately, there's this issue with the eyes. We don't realize we've had them open all day, and then we're tired, and the body wants to go to sleep, but we're pushing to get to the end of the book, and then we wonder why we have to wear glasses. I'm saying it isn't like one for one, but it influences. So how we deal with this body determines how healthy it is for us for the whole trip here. I don't know about Linda, we've talked about it. We're not interested in hospital stays. I don't mind having health insurance, but I don't plan to go because people die there. It's not a healthy place. There's disease and illness and this stuff. So I'm saying is that we're beginning to realize we have a really strong say in how our life, how our body, how we handle a situation, how things unfold. We have a big say in it. And I've always said we have the controlling say. Mm-hmm. Even somebody that that you live with that doesn't give you any money and that they kind of dole it out to you, that kind of relationship, you still have the say on how you engage in that. And I can remember even like Francis of Assisi talking about way back, and folks like that were in cells, monk cells for so long. You think, well, how could they do that? Because they were not curtailed. They might have physically been in one spot, but they expanded themselves. They included. And I'm not quite there yet. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm saying I'm starting to try to remember that I've got the controlling say. So I want my systems to work together with me. That's Lemaire stuff.
Well, and too, something that comes up when you're talking about eyesight, I had mentioned this to you the other day, is that what sometimes happens is that our eyesight will go bad because there's things in life that we don't want to see. And you wonder why that you can't see, because we really, the eyes, they are to see. And
windows to the soul.
Windows to the soul. Yeah, but when you're looking at things that you don't want to look at, you literally will say, I don't want to see that. That's kind of like denial, but it's literally not seeing.
It's not even kind of like, it's right.
It is. It is. Yeah, so that's something
which we all do. We've all been trained.
Yeah, something to take into account as well is that what are you not wanting to see in your own life, and out there in life. And again, yes, there's hunger, there's homelessness, there's poverty, wars are going on, but again, this is where Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. So it is about an inside job. It is going in and doing the work.
And easier said than done, no joke. That's why those cliches are so powerful. It is easier said than done. So Linda and I are saying here, in our life, in our show and things, we're engaging. So yesterday, when she was devastated, I was devastated and it wasn't even my case. So energetically, we're starting to notice how the energy is around things. That comes from more of our cosmic self, but it is available to us very freely. You don't have to pay for it here on the planet to the individual self. So that's what we're about. So I think Alan has a question for us here. Is someone coming in? This is, how do I know when I have emerged? There you go.
How do you know when you've emerged? Well, again, this goes back to knowing yourself. For me, how I know that I've emerged is I'm very consciously aware. Mm-hmm. Like if I say something, or it's also feeling more empowered within myself, knowing that in my world, which I'm a chunk of the whole world, the totality of the universe, that I have a say that was in my world. That's how I know that I've emerged, because before, trust me, I wasn't saying that. I was all, giving my power to everybody else, and that person was wrong, and it was your fault, and blah, blah, blah. I had to have the last word, and all this stuff. So for me, it really is in that awareness of knowing who you are and giving yourself self-love and really um, viewing it differently, having a different perspective. Yeah.
So I'll give the more concrete this time because we like to share the stage. So it might be that you're looking to lose weight and you discover, you maybe did that program, you lost weight, whatever, but you're at a point in your life where you're not monitoring what you're eating. It's like, oh gosh, it used to be like the biggest thing in my whole world. And I'm being embarrassed because I'm weighing more than I want, feeling the pressure of that and gravity, and being embarrassed, whatever. And now I realize, wow, I just mostly eat a certain way, and golly, when I don't have a conversation of, that's bad for me, or, oh heavens, that's going to, shorten my life, or other kind of fear or, lack kind of situation. So that's one of the ways. You can take any topic. It could be a relationship. Gosh, you're just coying at home and you don't feel like you're, really as good as your spouse. And then you start to realize, well, hey, my point of view is good. And you notice that your relationship is better. You just kind of go, wow, the Fred and I, we haven't really argued in a long time because you're coming from more work, they're coming from more work. So you're going to see it in life working better. And this is why I said I'm so looking forward to that new topic. And people always ask me, what's a new topic? I don't know. We haven't gotten over these yet. I don't know what it is. We want to get over weight and, and obesity and, and imbalances between men and women and how much they're paid and every race and that everyone deserves a home and food and clothes to wear and purposeful work. I mean, we've got projects. I look forward to. I just know that we're now focusing. It's now time to focus on the cooperation, the connection.
Well, and it's interesting because you had mentioned yesterday, I don't know, maybe it was today, but I think it was yesterday, about the Congress and how now they've included everybody. I'm not in this whole thing, but what I think is great is it's a beginning of including everyone in this healthcare program. Yeah. Work was never like that. So, there is this beginning that is happening, and you mentioned something too that, I don't know what it was, but I know what I would say is about stirring up. So things are being stirred up in our lives and in the consciousness and everything. So if things in your life you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? Like things were kind of moving along. I had little bumps over there, but now I feel like I'm on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
This is why, because the energy is really being stirred up to bring us, to emerge us, and bring heaven to earth, bring our cosmic and our earthly, the earth.
Well, it shows up that everybody and everything has value.
Yes.
That it's priceless, and that you can't take that away. But we have learned to suppress it, compress it, depress it. But we're taking those pressures off. So it's so true. And that's the other thing is, I think as a group, at least Americans here, we've been really stirring up because I heard when I listened to the State of the Union address, which is, like I said, is that, Obama talked about connecting with mayors and governors and with private industry and with teachers and linking everything up, particularly with the people most interested in that topic, and not have a be-all about putting all our eggs in the federal government's pocket, of which we can see they didn't do a very good job, So they're there to represent us, but we do have to do our part. So we must be doing it because it's showing up in the conversation. So the fact when these things show up in the conversation, whether it's you with your boss or a family member or we hear it on TV, that says this invisible realm is waking up. And I remember as a kid, now this may not be known to others, but I guess Rip Van Winkle slept for 60 years. So people were laughing. In the early part of my life, I said I was semi-retired because I knew I was kind of just holding, and holding pattern. Had plenty of fun, fell on my face, did all that sort of stuff, and any good human. But I can say that literally that energy is happening. We're waking up. It's like this conscious awakening. And so we're going to want some guidance in waking up. Well, now what does that mean? And that's what Linda and I hope to help you with. Help with situations and stuff. And like, wow, I never thought of doing it that way. And that allows you to see maybe more perspective on whatever the topic is. Well, we can't handle every situation. We wouldn't want to. Everybody's got those capabilities. But we can let you know that we're all energetically ready to do this. Mm-hmm. So since we're ready to do this, we're open and willing and ready, well, that's when these miraculous things happen. Or you say what you used to say at the PTA, and this time they hear you. It's something about that's happening. We're excited.
When you're talking about Rip Van Winkle, what came up for me, because I thought when she first said that to me, I was thinking of Mr. Magoo. Remember Mr. Magoo had the big glass and he's driving down, he doesn't really kind of know where he's going, he's bumping into things. That to me is a representation of life. We're going down, like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, we're going down this road, not really knowing where we're going, and we bump into something like, oh my gosh, there's an obstacle, and he just kind of, it's like bumper cars. He bumps into it, oops, there's something, okay, but he gets back on the road. To me, that's life, so I, see that in relationship to that, so just kind of interesting. And also, too, if you have a story that you want to share about a relationship or anything that's going on in your life, really do write it in at admin@consciousawareness.tv.com. admin@consciousawareness.tv.com. I'm sorry, I'm talking real fast. That we would love to share your story on our show and present that out. And again, questions are always welcome. Thank you for the question that we had.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I just recently, the last 3 years, I mentioned to folks on my web, I was giving the books away free, just if I had to ship it, pay shipping and handling. Well, I had a gal towards the end of the year in December, and she was interested, and she didn't get back to me, but she'd given me an address, and I was getting ready to take a trip, so I just thought, I'm just going to send it to her, I'm not going to worry about the shipping and handling, whatever, and so I did. So that was like, mid to the end of December. Well, just today, I get an email from her going, oh my gosh, will you forgive me? Because I've let this drop, you were kind enough to send the books, but what happened is my dog got lost. Well, I haven't yet responded, but I wanted to be there in the car. I'm not supposed to be doing this in the car, so I'm going to do it later. But I want to respond as my two best friends are canine. They were canine, I should say. And so, absolutely, this is family, and it comes first. So I could easily have thought, here I ship these books off. People don't care, they don't respond, they don't let you know if they've gotten them or anything. And now, in appropriate time, because I just said, no, I'm freely putting out here where it needs to go. And here is the response. Oh my gosh, will you forgive me? Look forward to meeting you. It's so great. A client of mine said these books were really inspiring to her. So, that's the kind of thing that's going to be happening. And as we do as we do what we're inspired or called upon to do, it's going to bring others back to us. So that's what we invite you. When you start seeing that, just like when you start to lose weight, you get on that program that works for you, you can see I've lost 3 pounds, I've lost 4 pounds. That's when we really start moving, because we're seeing the results of our desires and our belief systems in line and our trust in line, and we have faith, and all those things make heaven and earth just circular. It's not one above, one below. It just makes them all topsy-turvy.
But it's also, too, when you're saying that, what comes up for me is that I know there has to be some kind of awareness, I was going to say recognition, but there has to be some kind of awareness, because really what I said to you that one day, I was like, I don't feel the universe is supporting me. And really, when I looked back and really because I do a lot of self-reflection, when I did some self-reflection, I realized the universe has definitely been, showing me. And so, I had to really step up that, or I don't even know, but it's like really awakening, getting to that point. So, and being in awareness and noticing things. So, it's about being so present, in that moment of just trying, instead of going, I'm going to go off to over here. So just really being present to notice those things, because you're present, so you notice that you're at the place where you're at. But a lot of people are not like that, so they're like, well, that's all well and good, but I'm not, I'm not there. So
right, but here's the other side of that. They're saying, is it possible? People
yes.
say, get conscious. It's possible.
Absolutely.
If one person,
possible.
Exactly, but if one person you know of has managed to, and how I would say this is, I earn less dollar bills than most. In fact, right now I'm getting hooked up with this affordable health care through welfare, because I don't make enough dollar bills to even make the low run of the helpful new health care portion of it. So I have to own and be with that, because by earth terms, I don't make enough. But nobody's wealthier than I am. I have more people and health. Speaking of which, talk about gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My sisters, over the holidays, and I will be cheerful on this, decided it was time for me to have my very own brand new computer. I have not technically oriented. I've been graciously accepting, secondhand digital cameras and cell phones, and my computer came from a friend, and I am so grateful. And I said to my sister, you know, a PC or a Mac, I don't care. I'm just grateful to receive. I mean, I'm the low end on the tech. But out of all that, they took it upon themselves to say, we think it's time for her to have her very own. And I'm telling you, blown away. No thought on that, no like, well, I deserve my very own, none of that. I'm so grateful. Everything that's come my way, I've been so grateful and would continue to be so. But that's the kind of miracles that can come in. And I'm saying we're ready for that. You know, not because anybody had to, but because, oh my gosh, they took upon themselves to say, we'd like to do this. So I'm saying I get a lot of that. So I'm always wanting to help. I want to listen to you on the phone. I want to talk with you because so much comes my way. And that's what Linda's saying. I have such a flow of that. And I want others to experience it, because when we have that kind of flow, we don't bother others so much. We don't bother the country next door. We don't bother our neighbors. We don't bother, you know, who's tall or short or old or young or whatever, because we're doing well here. Yeah. And really all you want to do then is share that.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it just came to me as well, too. You know, really it's about the time is now.
Yes.
There is no better time than now. I mean, the divine timing. There's a timing for the show. There's a timing for you to awaken. You know, everybody has their own journey, and they're going to awaken on their own journey at their own pace. There's no right or wrong, no good or bad, no fast or slow. Yeah. It's just perfect as it is. And, you know, to look back in your life and go, gosh, I wish I would have done this 10 years ago. You know what? You couldn't have done it 10 years ago. Yeah. And I know that for myself. You couldn't have done it 10 years ago. You know, when you're in that place, 10 years ago, you only knew what you knew at that time. Mm-hmm. And then you can look back and say, wow, I could have done things different. Yeah, but you could have, but you didn't have the tools. You didn't have the wisdom and the knowledge. You know?
Or the enough support.
Enough support. But now that you do, mm-hmm. if you're at that place, and you have children, or you have friends, or, you know, helping one another and sharing how you've learned. I mean, that's why the shows come together, so we can, the time is now. Mm-hmm. The time is now for all of us to wake up. It all is to end separation, to become one, to include all in the whole picture.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's time for another question, I can see.
Yes.
So, another question here? Yeah. I got glasses on, I know, and stuff like that. So still forward. Okay, let's see.
We got a few minutes left, so let's get a question.
Let's get a question in here. So, Alan, you bring the question up. Thank you. Very sweet.
How do I access this all-knowingness, larger self? Well, let's let the drums roll again. There you go. Okay, drum roll.
Thank you.
Well, let's go from the cosmic wizard, and the earth angel will step in here, you know, all-knowingness. Yeah.
So there's a lot of avenues to help, okay? We have some that everything costs you your time, and some cost you more. So you can go the way into health when you don't pay attention, go to the hospital, prescription drugs, you know, and spend a lot of money. In between, you can do things like massage, chiropractic, and acupuncture. All those realms work with our energy patterns. But even before that, that doesn't require any money, unless you're taking the class first. But one can do yoga. While you're doing yoga, you have to be in the present with the moves you're doing. Otherwise, there's counterindications. You'll fall over. So you want to be sure to stay present. You can meditate or sit quietly. Literally, the cosmos has a certain silence. It's not the silence of lack of noise silence. It has a certain silence. And in that silence, things come to us. And people will say, oh, that was just my imagination. I say, yes, thank goodness it was your imagination, bringing that cosmic news to you. So we have that, and we have Tai Chi. All three of those, again, mental is meditation, Tai Chi, emotional, and then the physical, the yoga. Meaning, all three of them deal with each realm, but the yoga focuses in the physicality. The meditating focuses in the mental, all three avenues included. The Tai Chi focuses in the emotional system, but all three present. So those are ways, things you can do. You can look on the internet about that, you can take classes, but those are things, once you start to feel a sense of it, can continue on your own. So I'm going to say that when it comes to bringing down totality, it's opposite to our health. Our health and wellness, it's the items we only spend our time on, after we've learned them, versus going to the hospital. And in so doing, that all-knowingness comes around. Thank you.
I would say it's also, too, having a friend that you can share with.
Yeah.
That you can really open up to. There's no judgment. There's no, that person is, they're crazy or whatever. Having really that support, having that support around for you. I think that's really important. And also, too, I think acupuncture, any kind of energy work. Obviously, classes, I shouldn't say obviously, but classes, definitely workshops. But if you can't, I mean, energy work I think is amazing. Yoga as well. Massage I think is really good. Anything to get the energy moving. But I feel, I don't know, for me, I would say the most important thing is really having someone that you can really open up to, that will support you in every way, that you can really get this energy out and really begin to strengthen that inside yourself.
Yes.
Strengthen inside yourself.
Strengthen the knowledge himself. Well, speaking of which, and I'm gonna do a little commercial here, a little commercial insert, is that next week, for those in the greater San Diego area, I'm going to be doing classes at both the Philosophical Library, starting February 8th in the afternoon, and Controversy Bookstore, February 7th. And it is all oriented towards experiencing your cosmic self and then bringing that news down to the earth plane here where you want to use it. So.
Yeah, and I wanted to give out one tip that Jeanie has taught me, which is really phenomenal, is that when you're with someone or eating food, doesn't even matter, 15 to 20 minutes after you leave that person or you have that food, check and see how you feel. That's when if you have that gut feeling that, ooh, this doesn't feel very good, you know it's not a match for the food or that person. So 15 to 20 minutes, check and see with anything you do. So there you go.
I love it.
So yes,
I love
yes,
you're so beautiful in your wings. I just love it. I know, having fun here. So.
Well, we just want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Really, it's been an honor, and just thank you for listening, and thank you for the questions. Thank you, Alan, for making this happen, and Teresa and Dave for this beautiful space. And tune in next week, and we will be talking about lack of consciousness on February 20th. Lack consciousness, excuse me. February 6th. Oh my gosh, it's already February. So, and if you missed today's show, no worries, because you can go to our YouTube channel, which is search Conscious Awareness TV, and be sure to like us so you know that when our shows are uploaded, then you can go and view them right away. And then also definitely like us. So, and look for,
because we like you.
We love you.
We're in a like mode.
Yes.
We like all this liking.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
and more like.
And thank you again so much. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.